It's a great honor, President Jonathan, for me to be here. When you took that decision on March 31st, 2015, he's written a little book, which you should read, My Transition Hours. But when you took that decision, it was one of those moments that it was between yourself, your conscience, your God. The voice of the devil is not so far from the voice of God. Listen very carefully to those who want to use you as an instrument for the elongation of their interests, and not your interests or the interests of Nigeria. Think very clearly, pray very clearly. Final decision, it's your call.
Listen very carefully. Kukah warns Goodluck Jonathan. Welcome to Chinick TV. Tonight, we dive into a breaking political story shaking Nigeria's political corridors. Bishop Matthew Kukah has warned former Goodluck Jonathan in Ghana. What exactly did Kukah mean? Why is Jonathan suddenly at the center of political conversations again? And what does this mean for 2027? Stay tuned, because this report goes deeper than the headlines. Now let us start by looking at the man called Kukah. Bishop Matthew Hassan Kukah is not just a clergyman. Over the years, he has become one of Nigeria's most outspoken voices on politics, justice and morality, from military rule to democracy. Kukah has always carried a reputation of speaking truth to power. So, when Kukah says to Goodluck Jonathan, listen very carefully, the whole nation listens too, because his words are never careless. They are deliberate, sharp and prophetic. Let's pause and ask, why Jonathan? Goodluck Jonathan left office in 2015 after conceding defeat to Muhammadu Buhari. That single act made him a global statesman. He became a symbol of peace, democracy and leadership across Africa. He was celebrated in Ghana, Sierra Leone, Liberia and even by world leaders. But here is the twist. In Nigeria today, Jonathan is being dragged back into the storm. Both Tinubu's APC and the opposition PDP are eyeing him as a political pawn or kingmaker, and Kukah knows that Jonathan's every move can change the balance of power in 2027. Now let us see the real warning. So, what is Kukah really warning Jonathan about? Number 1, legacy at risk. Jonathan is respected because he walked away with honor. If he goes back to partisan politics, that honor may vanish. Number 2, manipulation. There are whispers that Tinubu's camp wants Jonathan close to divide the South-South and weaken opposition unity. On the other hand, Atiku's PDP loyalists want him to reconcile Obi and Atiku, building one powerful bloc. Number 3, don't repeat old mistakes. Kukah was one of the fierce critics of Jonathan's government back in 2015, accusing him of weakness, compromise and allowing corruption to flourish. Now, Kukah might be saying, don't walk back into the same trap that cost you the presidency. Now let's bring this home to 2027. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is already facing cracks within the APC. Northern governors are restless. The economy is collapsing under inflation and hunger. Obedients are still loyal to P2B, while Atiku is refusing to retire. In this chaos, Jonathan looks like the beautiful bride. Everyone wants him on their side. For Tinubu, Jonathan's support in the South-South could weaken Obi. For Atiku, Jonathan is the perfect reconciler with Obi. For Obi, Jonathan represents credibility with older politicians. But here lies the danger. If Jonathan picks a side wrongly, he risks being remembered not as a global peacemaker, but as a political pawn in Nigeria's dirtiest election battle. Now let us see the politics of perception. You know, perception is everything in politics. Right now, social media is already divided. Obedients are worried. Why is Jonathan even speaking with Atiku or Tinubu's men? Some PDP loyalists say Jonathan should rebuild the party he once led. APC supporters whisper that Jonathan's visit abroad are part of Tinubu's long game to win sympathy in 2027. Kukah's warning, therefore, is not just to Jonathan, it is to Nigerians. Don't let perception destroy democracy. If Jonathan is seen as endorsing unpopular moves, the backlash could be massive. Now let's decode Kukah's real fear. Kukah has always defended democracy. He knows Nigeria democracy is fragile, almost hanging by a thread. He also knows that politicians will do anything to win, including using a respected figure like Jonathan to deceive Nigerians. That's why he is sounding the alarm. Jonathan, don't let them use you. Don't mortgage your hard-earned respect for cheap political games. Nigeria is bigger than personal ambition. Now let us see the lesson. At the end of the day, Kukah's message is a lesson to every Nigerian politician. Legacy is bigger than office. Reputation is bigger than power. Jonathan is remembered for peace in 2015. If he allows himself to be dragged into the mud of 2027, he might lose that respect forever. So the question remains, will Jonathan listen to Kukah, or will he risk everything for one last dance with Nigerian politics? What do you think? Is Jonathan being courted as a peacemaker or being set up as a pawn? Was Kukah's warning truly about democracy or about Jonathan's personal legacy? Drop your comments below, because this debate is far from over. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe to Chinick TV, your #1 home for deep political analysis.
Democracy is a subject, it is subject to toxicity, it is subject to decay, to rot, to fracture, but not to death. Democracy will never die. There will be bad elections, but the only cure to a bad election is another election. Often those who pose the greatest threat to democracy are the elected officials who often, as one of our Nigerian politicians, a friend of mine who died just about last month, Mr. Audu Ogbe, who once said that, he said to me, he said, Nigerian politicians believe that people vote for us to enjoy on their behalf. So the assumption that politicians have that the rest of us who voted for you are so stupid, and that all we are supposed to do is to stand and look at you in your beautiful cars, your beautiful houses, and we are all just spectators. All we can choose is which team are we going to clap for. Participatory democracy means participating in elections, but also participating in reaping, the outcome. So I therefore want to end by saying, first of all, it's a great honor, President Jonathan, for me to be here. When you took that decision on March 31st, 2015, he's written a little book, which you should read, My Transition Hours. But when you took that decision, it was one of those moments that it was between yourself, your conscience, your God, against the run of play. On the 31st of March 2015, even before the elections had concluded, when you made that call, you were answering what to me was more or less a divine call. And by taking that decision, not only did you reverse, and I think your successor made the point himself over and over, you had all the military, you had all the paraphernalia of power around you. It would have been possible to instigate a war. But by taking that decision, in my view, the people of Athens entrusted into your hands a touch of hope, a touch of what democracy should look like. The honor, the dignity, the sense of sacrifice. That is what democracy is all about. You illustrated that. And it's the reason why when you call, I will come. When you knock, I will open the door. Because right now, I had to excuse myself from a meeting of the Catholic Bishops' Conference of Nigeria, which is still on. Our meeting is finishing actually on Sunday. But I had to excuse myself to be here because I thought it was a great honor for me, to be with you. But please, General Theophilus Danjuma, one of our greatest statesmen, President Obasanjo's colleague, once said, very often, the voice of the devil is not so far from the voice of God. Listen very carefully to those who want to use you as an instrument for the elongation of their interests and not your interests or the interests of Nigeria. Think very clearly, pray very clearly. Final decision, it's your call. Finally, some years back, John Major, a former British Prime Minister, addressed top-level politicians in the UK. And he started his speech by posing a question. He said, if after 850 years of our democracy in the United Kingdom, If there is one person in this room that believes that we have gotten it right, please raise your hand. After 850 years, if there's anybody who believes that we in the United Kingdom have succeeded in our democracy, please raise your hand. Of course, no hand went up.